I have decided that misery is just a pain. I go through periods of time when I'm extremely miserable because of my health. And I've noticed that misery is like having a very heavy magnet inside us, right where the action is. You can decide where that magnet is. And everything attaches to that magnet. And so we become miserable. And I am not going to be that person. So even when my health causes me to feel physically, maybe mentally, mentally, emotionally, just kind of miserable, do I have to be spiritually miserable? And if I can choose to be spiritually joyful instead of miserable, can that possibly affect everywhere else where I am miserable? Which brings me to Proverbs 17, verse 22. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. By the way, pardon my voice. I don't have much of an immune system, and I've had one respiratory infection after another lately, and I lost my voice completely. I'm getting my talking voice back, but I don't have any kind of singing voice, which is why I'm not recording music videos right now. And I'm hoping that my talking voice lasts to the end of this video. We'll see. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. That's the English Standard Version. Here's what I came up with from the Hebrew language, the language of the Old Testament, and 6 other translations. A joy-filled and rejoicing heart is a state of being that is not only great for our health, it is excellent healing medicine from the inside out, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. On the other hand, a beaten down and crushed spirit is a state of being that drains our strength, promotes gloom and doom, leaves us bone tired, and causes us to gradually wither and waste away spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I'll paste that in the comment section of this video. In the Hebrew language, it literally means a rejoicing heart. Now, heart is the core of us, where the action is, where we think, where we feel, where we choose. We can have a rejoicing heart. We can choose at any given time to have a rejoicing heart. And I'm going to give you 3 little examples of what I'm talking about, and they all have to do with something that I did this morning. I went to my favorite thrift store, and I wasn't feeling very good at all, but I wasn't going to let that stop me. And I was shopping, but more than anything, I was just being consciously aware of God's presence. I was looking for the signs of God's presence in that place, and wow, when we choose to be consciously aware of God's presence, when we stay alert to the signs of God's presence, they are all over the place. And so the first example, I got stopped. I was in an aisle. The person in front of me stopped, had a cart. Person behind me stopped, had a cart. I was stuck. Before I got so sick, back when I was healthy, back when I had too much energy, back when I was mismanaging high anxiety, back when I was so impatient that I would take red traffic lights personally, that Rick Jordan in that moment being stopped because of a person in front of me and behind me, I would have seethed. I wouldn't have done anything. I wouldn't have acted out. But if they would have caught my eye back then, but today, I tell you what, when I got stopped, I was okay. In fact, I'm kind of grateful. And I even say that to people when they notice that I'm stopped because of them and they say, I'm sorry, or excuse me. I say, you did me a favor. Because I stopped, I got to look around. And so when I was stuck, when I was stopped, I took advantage of the opportunity and I saw something that I never would have spotted if I had kept moving. So, first example in the lesson, when life stops you because of circumstances beyond your control, when life stops you, it's an opportunity to be consciously aware of God's presence, to be alert. Okay, the second thing, and it's what I found, whenever I'm in a thrift store, I always look for things that my beloved would enjoy, and sunflowers, anything with sunflowers, or anything that's kind of springtime. And so I saw this. I hope you can read it because, well, it's got lemons. I think it's a kitchen towel, and it says, "Squeeze the day, squeeze the day." Carpe diem, seize the day. I don't know what the Latin is for squeeze the day, but isn't that cool? And Carla really likes the towel, but squeeze the day. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade, I think is the saying. I like squeeze the day. Like whatever the day brings, we can squeeze every bit of life out of that day, and that too is a choice. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. So that's the second example. And the third, I got to see one of my friends who used to manage this thrift store. Now he manages another one, and he was off. He and his daughter were shopping in this thrift store on his day off from working in thrift stores. And one of the persons who got me stuck was his daughter. And so we hugged, Matthew and I hugged, caught up with each other. He asked about my health. I kind of filled him in. And his parting shot to me was, keep your head up. Keep your head up. Now, that is a choice. We can keep our head down, gloom and doom, misery, or we can keep our heads up. So those are the three lessons. In the New Testament, the Greek word for joy is an uplifting fullness. I love that. God can give us an uplifting fullness. And so Philippians 4 verse 4 says, may you always be joyful in your union with the Lord. I say it again, rejoice. And I want to just offer that to you as kind of a benediction. May you always be joyful in your union with the Lord. I say it again, rejoice. Amen.